And recording. All right. So we're going to go over the essay portion of the STAAR. The essay portion of the STAAR is not hard, is not complicated, is not difficult. All right. However, one of the biggest problems that people have when it comes to the STAAR is that they have fear, right? And that fear causes them to make huge problems and make mistakes. Causes problems and causes them to make mistakes, right? So what I'm here to do is I'm going to try to get you to eliminate a lot of that fear, all right? Now, fear is usually bred by ignorance or a lack of understanding, right? If you don't know how to do something, that breeds fear, right? And so a lot of people are afraid of writing because they don't have these very clear tools to navigate the writing process, right? And so I'm going to give you those tools, and I'm going to show you exactly what STAAR is looking for. Remember, STAAR is a lot about not how smart you are, or blah, 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 but it's about telling them what they want to hear, right? You got to tell them what they want to hear. So the STAAR essay is not a normal essay. Okay? It is not a normal essay. It is shorter and it is easier. Okay? It is shorter. It should only be about 4 paragraphs, but it's actually even simpler than that, right? Now, check it out. I've gone over this a little bit before, but I'm going to go over it again, all right? So the STAAR essay should be, you should have 1 sentence intro. You should have 2 5-sentence body paragraphs. By the way, this is the symbol for a paragraph, and I'm going to be using it a little bit here. So 2 5-sentence body paragraphs, and you should have a 1-sentence conclusion. All right, 1-sentence conclusion. This is a super simple essay. All right? How many sentences is that in total? 4?
12.
You guys are bad at math. Yes, 12. This is a 12-sentence essay. Do you feel like you can do a 12-sentence essay? Yeah, absolutely. This is not something that's super hard, super complicated, super difficult, right? It is short. It is short. It is to the point. Now, the other thing that's great about this is that there are these very, very, very specific things that STAAR graders are looking for, all right? Very specific things that they're looking for, so we're going to go over that. All right, so the essay is the most important part of the STAAR test, right? It's worth the most points. What is the most important part of an essay? Oh my God, you give me an aneurysm when you say that. No, it's okay, wait. So, they said hook, right? Lots of teachers say that it's the hook. That drives me absolutely insane, right? Why do they tell you that it's the hook? What's the reasoning? To draw the reader in. And if you don't draw the reader in, the idea is like, oh, well, because then they won't read it. That's, pardon my French, and I'm sorry for using this kind of language, but that is malarkey. Absolute malarkey. No, that is completely untrue. Who reads essays? Teachers and professors. People who are literally paid to read your essay, right? So this idea, like that you would turn in a 5-paragraph essay and I would take 30 seconds and I would look at the first sentence and then give you a 0 because you didn't have a good hook is insane. Can you imagine how much trouble I would get? Like you walked up to me like, hey, why'd you give me a 0? I was like, oh, you had a terrible hook, so I just gave you a 0. I didn't even read it. Like that would drive people nuts, right? I would get in trouble for that. No, that's insane, right? And remember, an essay is about content. That's what matters, what's in your essay. So no, the hook is not the most important part of the essay. And there's actually a big problem with that, thinking that way, and I'll get to that later. But what is the most important part of the essay? The thesis. Thesis is the most important part of the essay. All right? Now, if you were to think of a thesis, I want you to think of it like this. You ready for this? I don't think you're ready. What is that? Your thesis is your brain, right? I want you to think of your thesis as your brain. Your brain controls everything, right? Your brain controls everything. This is no different with a thesis. Your thesis controls everything. It controls your entire essay, all right? Your thesis controls your entire essay, all right? Now, one of the problems with this idea again, right? Thesis is the most important part of the essay, is that if you're not told how to write a thesis, what happens? It breeds fear, right? Because your teacher tells you, thesis is the most important part of the essay. Make it good, right? And then just walk away and you're like, what? Right? And that freaks you out. So, does anybody remember how I taught you how to write a thesis? Yes, TOE. Do you remember what TOE stands for? Topic, opinion, and why. Topic. What are you talking about? Opinion. How do you feel about it? Why? Why do you feel that way? Right? Why do you feel that way? This is TOE. So, whenever you're in doubt, you just have to TOE your thesis. You just gotta TOE. Okay, whatever. You ready for this? Y'all ain't ready. You ain't ready for this. I don't know, this is pretty bad. Sitting on dubs. That's me. That's me towing the thesis. You're welcome for this. All right, yes, so you have to tow your thesis, topic, opinion, and why, right? That's the easiest way to do a thesis, and we're going to break it down. Now, what we're going to go over right now are not actual STAAR release questions, because the STAAR release questions now are different. They require you to read and then respond to the reading, right? There are benefits and negatives to that, but we don't have time for you to kind of read. So basically, this is more like a thought process, how to approach the essay, how to write these, and then we'll eventually go over an actual essay, right? But we're going to give non-STAAR examples right now, right? So I don't know if you remember this, but we actually did this last time too, because I've gone over this before, so it should just be a refresher. But we actually did this, right? So this is an example. All right. Now, a thesis A thesis does two things. All right? A thesis does two things. A thesis tells the reader what you're talking about, and it answers a question. All essays have an implied question. Even if it's not framed as a question, there is always an implied question for the essay. If you write an essay on the pollution that that carbureted engines create, then you are answering an implied question, right? Why do carbureted engines create pollution? Or how? Or how much, right? Those are the questions that you're answering. So there is an implied question here, right? Even though it's not framed as a question, because it never will be. Because 99.9999% of the time, for STAAR, for English 1, they will start their essay prompt with the word explain. So whenever you see the word explain, that should tip you off to this is the question. Almost always they will use explain, all right? So there is an implied question here. Turn this into a question. What is the question? Turn into a question. Why is Marvel or DC the better movie franchise? Question mark, right? So there's a question there. There's lots of ways to do this, but this is an example of this, all right? So now, we need to answer this question with our thesis. And we do that by using TOW, all right? T-O-W. So, what is our topic? Yep. Marvel, DC, right? What is our opinion? They actually kind of state our opinion for us. We just have to choose it. Better movie franchise. Now, why do we feel this way? Somebody give me an answer. Okay. Better superheroes. All right, now, one of the things that's really important to understand about this is that this is a loose formula. It's actually more like a graphic organizer, right? It's just an organizer. The reason why I did this is because I used to teach this in this very, very rigid and very strict formula. But the problem was that if the question wasn't asked in the exact perfect way, and if it didn't fit the formula, kids would freak out. Kind of like in a math class, right? You have a formula, you're using the formula, and then if the question changes and it doesn't match the formula, what happens? What do? You freak out. And when you freak out, you don't think clearly. And you do this thing like, I don't know, I don't care. You just move on, right? And so I don't want that to happen to you. So this is a loose structure, all right? This is really just about organizing things in a certain way and then utilizing that to create a sentence, right? And it's to eliminate that thing. So, someone turn this into a sentence. By the way, what are we choosing, Marvel or DC?
Marvel. Marvel is the better movie franchise because it has better superheroes.
Now, you used the magic word. And the magic word is because. Now, there are other ways, there are other words to use. But if you can't remember them, because will always be your magic word. Okay? Marvel is a better movie franchise because it has better superheroes. Is this a good thesis? This is a stupendous thesis, incredible thesis, fantastic thesis. This thesis is standing on business. This thesis is lit. This thesis isn't mid, it's bussin'. This thesis is amazing. All right? Now, so we have the sense. Now, this thesis really is a perfect thesis, right? Because it's accomplishing the two things that it needs to accomplish. It's telling the reader what we're talking about, movie franchises. It's telling the reader, it's answering the question, Marvel. And then it's even telling the reader why you feel that way, because there's better superheroes. This is perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this thesis. So if you have this idea that a thesis needs to be long or complicated, or that needs to be difficult, or that you have to use big words, it does not. Oftentimes, simplicity is the best route. Because again, the thesis is for the reader. The thesis tells the reader, this is what the essay is about. This is the answer. Right? And this accomplishes all of those things in a beautiful way. Right? So this is all you need to do. All right, so now, why? Why do they have better superheroes? Why do they have better superheroes? Because the superheroes have better storylines? Okay, so they have better storylines. Ooh, better powers. Why else? I don't know if fights would be like part of the superheroes thing. They have better costumes? All right, let's do it. All right, good. Now, can you give me examples of this? Can you give me an example of a superhero with a good storyline? Huh?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, why?
Because his uncle died. He got bit by a spider. The person died.
Spider-Man has a tragic origin story. Right? Batman's DC. And Batman's just a spoiled rich kid, so. I don't. Better powers. Who has better? Well, give me an example of somebody who has better powers. WandaVision.
Wait, no, that's the show.
Oh yeah, the witch. What's her name again?
Scarlet Witch.
What is Scarlet Witch's powers? You know what?
Lots of things.
Y'all are wrong. I'm just gonna answer this. Oh my God, what's her name? The X-Men. No, the girl.
Mystique.
No, not Mystique. The other one.
The one that can like shape
She turns into Phoenix and she becomes a world destroyer.
Oh.
She literally, in the comic book, she like literally destroys worlds. That's how powerful she becomes. She turns evil and she destroys worlds. Okay, I'm just gonna put that. Phoenix can literally
Wait, Captain Marvel?
destroy. Oh yeah, destroy planets. Yeah, I think it is Jean Grey. Yeah. Okay, good. Costumes. Tell me about costumes. Here, I got this for you. They don't have lame capes.
Who has a cape in DC?
They don't have lame capes. Spider-Man and Batman? Superman and Batman?
Spider has a cape?
No. Oh my God. All right. This is not going great for the recording. Yeah, so remember, this is not an actual STAAR prompt, right? In the actual STAAR prompt, this would be slightly different, but I'm going to get to that. This is about thinking it through. All right, so now what I want to show you is that by doing what we just did, which took 5 minutes? We have literally done 85% of the work for the essay. 85% of the work for the essay is done, right? The reason why is because we have a thesis that makes sense, all right? And it is our brain, so that means that it is controlling everything else. Every single thing that we've talked about here is in alignment with our thesis, right? This is all in alignment with the idea that they have better superheroes. We have given specific examples for why we feel that way. And then we have given evidence here, here, and here. We have given evidence, right, for those examples. This is the bread and butter of an essay. This is the most important parts of an essay. Remember, an essay is about content. What are you saying? Are you backing it up? All right? Now, for an actual STAAR essay, you would only actually need... Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase this. So, these examples, storylines, better powers, and costumes. What do you think these things become? Body paragraphs, right? So we know that one of our paragraphs is going to be about storylines. We know that one of our paragraphs is going to be about better powers. And we know that one of our costumes is going to... one of our paragraphs is going to be about better costumes. So we've literally done 85% of the work. We have a thesis, we have our body paragraphs, and we have evidence to support those body paragraphs, right? This is huge, and it shouldn't take you very long. This took us 5 minutes to do, right? Now, in an actual STAAR essay, we would only have to choose one or two. We would only have to choose two of these. I'm of the belief that you should always have extra as opposed to not enough, right? So that way, when you actually start writing your essay, if one of these doesn't fit very well, you know what? You say, this one's not very good. I'm going to scratch this one. I'm going to roll with these two instead, right? But you have extra. Now, the reason why this works is because, again, this doesn't take you very long, right? If this took you an hour to do, then you wouldn't do the extra one. But this literally took us 5 minutes, right? And so it should be no different when you come to the actual STAAR exam. This is pre-writing, and all of you should do pre-writing, and it should be exactly like this, and it shouldn't take you very long, all right? Okay, so I'm moving on. Now, we're going to do one more. This is an actual old STAAR released question, all right? And we've done this one before, so again, it shouldn't be hard. So there is an implied question here. What is the implied question? Why is technology important to teens? Right? Now we're going to do so. All right. What is our topic? Technology. What is our opinion? They actually tell us our opinion. That it is important, right? And that's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes they're going to tell you your opinion. That it is important. Why do we feel that way? This is where you come into play. Why do we feel that way? Communication. Okay, now, one of my students in one of my other classes made a classic mistake. Instead of something like communication, they said texting. Right? Now, texting is no good. Why? It's too specific. If your thesis is your brain, right, and it controls everything, that means that if texting is your answer, what does your entire essay have to be about? Texting. So you don't want to be too specific, right? You do not want to be too specific. You don't want to limit yourself, right? However, with communication, can you talk about texting? Yes, you can, right? That's exactly what you want to do. So somebody turn this into a sentence. Oh. Wait. It's important to who? Remember, the question is about teenagers. Because It helps them communicate. Right? Now, give me 3 examples of how technology helps teenagers communicate. Texting, FaceTime, social media. Now, whenever you're going through your essay, you should have this annoying voice in your head, right? Think of just this super annoying person, their hands on their hips, right? Judging. Some bad hair, right? And they're saying, how or why? Right? How or why? So, how does texting help you communicate? Oh, huh? How is it different from talking on the phone? Why is texting a unique way of communication that teenagers specifically? Huh? Why do you text people instead of calling them? Faster. Faster? And what else? It's more convenient. Right? Afraid of talking, right? And you're afraid of talking to people, right? Afraid of people's voices. Why FaceTime? See people who you couldn't normally. Right? Why social media? Now, these are like our quotes. These all work. Right? They all work. These are fine. Right? So again, we've done 85% of work. We have our thesis. We have our body paragraphs. We have our evidence for those body paragraphs. Right? We've done 85% of the work. And we have one extra. Which one of these do you think is the weakest one? Whatever, right? You guys get it? Does that make sense? Does that work? All right. Now, all of this is part of pre-writing. And a lot of you hate pre-writing. You say, pre-writing's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just writing my essay twice. And I get that. But that's because pre-writing was explained to you in a way that it probably shouldn't have. Because pre-writing should take about 15 minutes. No more. And it should be done without writing perfect sentences and without worrying too much about spelling or grammar or anything like that. This is just about getting words on paper, right? How many of you have started writing an essay, just started writing from top to bottom, no pre-writing, and you get halfway through and you're like, oh my gato. This doesn't make any sense. Or this example that I thought I could use doesn't work. Or I don't have enough evidence for this. How many of you have done that? Everyone's done that, right? I've done that. And I'm like probably the most amazing writer on the world, on this earth. I've decided not to show the world my incredible talent because I don't want to deal with fame. And even I pre-write and make that mistake at times, right? So, pre-writing should take you about 15 minutes, all right? This is how you should pre-write. Basically exactly what we were doing, and then I'm going to help you fill in the gaps. All right, so pre-writing. The first thing you do is you write your thesis, and you use TOE to write your thesis. All right? Now, after that, you come up with your examples. Oh, shoot, sorry. You come up with your examples, right? Which eventually become your body paragraphs. And then you come up with your evidence. Now, for the actual STAAR test, what is your evidence going to be? Actual quotes from the story that you're answering a question to, right? Now, this is actually kind of a benefit. Old STAAR, you used to have to remember quotes. You used to have some memorized. New STAAR, you don't have to do that. New STAAR, you literally have to go in and find them. That's it. This is an advantage to you all. This is a benefit, right? You just have to go in and find the quote. That's all you have to do. All right, so you have the evidence. Boom. 85% done. Now, as part of your pre-writing, you should have a very, very, very simple outline that fulfills all of the requirements needed for the essay. And I'm going to show you what that outline is. All right? So you have an intro. You have an intro. 1. Thesis. You have your body. First paragraph. Topic. Evidence. Explain. Elaborate. And a transitional sentence. Oh, yeah. A, B, C, D, and E. Right? Topic, evidence, explain, elaborate. The elaboration is theoretically optional, but you really shouldn't have it be optional. And then transitional sentence. All right? Now, this is your body. You should have 2 of these. Why are you doing this to me? Right? This is your second paragraph. And it's the same. It's no different. All right? And then lastly, you're going to have your conclusion. And it's 1 sentence. And it should be, as you can see, and then plus your thesis. All right? So these things in red are like cheat codes. I'm going to be giving you cheat codes. All right? Red are cheat codes. As you can see, plus your thesis. All right, now, let's go through this. We have our thesis. Right? And again, this is not complete sentences. You should not be spending a ton of time on this. Tech is important because communication, right? Now, our examples, what do these become in the outline? Correct, but where do they go specifically in the outline? The topic sentence. This is what this paragraph is going to be about, right? This paragraph is going to be about texting. And this paragraph is going to be about FaceTime. Right? Now, what should you do next? Evidence. You already have evidence, right? Texting, blah, 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 whatever your evidence is. FaceTime, blah, blah, what your evidence is. So we know this paragraph is going to be about texting. This paragraph is going to be about FaceTime. We already have evidence to back it up. Now all we have to do is explain it, right? FaceTime, FaceTime lets you see changes in people far away. I don't know. And it also helps you be places you can't. Right? Whatever. Texting lets you communicate when it's inconvenient. And it's less pressure. Which is whatever, blah, blah, blah. Fill it up, right? These are your explanations. Now, I want you to look at this. Thesis. Thesis. Done. Your body paragraphs. Almost all done. Right? Again, this should not be taking you long. Now, all you have left are transitional sentences and a conclusion. But the conclusion you actually can already do, right? So, again, you want to use as you can see. You want to use as you can see because this shows confidence, right? And even if you're not confident, you got to fake it till you make it. You got to pretend like you're confident, right? So basically by saying as you can see, it's almost like a mic drop, right? You're basically saying like, as you can see, like I showed you through my incredible paragraph, whatever answer it was that I had, through my incredible essay, whatever answer that I had, right? So as you can see, technology is important to teens because it helps them communicate. Because it helps them communicate. All right? So as you can see, technology is important to teens because it helps them communicate. So now we have this done, right? Because basically it's done once your thesis is done. So almost everything is done, right? Almost every single part of this is done. Derek.
Oh, Derek. She said Eric.
He's in the bathroom. Okay, so as you can see, blah, blah. So now, we've basically done every single part of our essay. Now, one of the things that's really important, we did not do it in order. Don't do it top to bottom, because not everything's important. And you can get stuck doing things, right? Like the hook. It's one of the reasons why I hate that teachers tell you that hook is the most important, because then it's your first thing that you have to come up with. And you're freaking out, like, oh my God, this is the most important part of the essay. Don't worry about it, right? So, now all we have left are transitional sentences, right? That's it. Now, the STAAR test loves transitional sentences. They love transitional sentences. If you use a transitional sentence, it will bump up your grade, all right? Here's a cheat code for a transitional sentence. Not only paragraph 1, but also paragraph 2. Not only paragraph 1, but also paragraph 2. You can almost always use this, right? And it transitions. Not only do teenagers text, but they also FaceTime, right? Is that a good transitional sentence? You can jazz it up. Not only do teenagers use texting in order to stay communicated with people around them, but they also FaceTime, right? Whatever. But just by having a transitional sentence, you're gonna be kind of ahead of the game and gaining points. Derek, where's he going? Where's he going? Go to the office. Bye. Sorry, recording. All the people who are listening to this recording. All right, so not only but also, right? That's gonna work. Now, what's really important about this, again, let's say that you're worried or you struggle a little bit with grammar. Even if you were to put not only texting but also FaceTime, even something like that, or not only use texting but also FaceTime, even that will give you points. Even that will give you points. It'll bump up your grade, right? So this is like a huge cheat code. Now, the other transitional sentence is you're going to use, the cheat code for this is not really a great cheat code, but basically you're going to use a transitional sentence starter. All right? Now, I'm going to give you those. Transitional sentences can be difficult to teach because it's really more about having transitional words that you know. And so there are transitional words and sentence starters I'm going to give you that you can use. All right? Now, notice that I waited until the end to do my transitional sentences. And I didn't do them in order. Why? Well, because it's hard to transition into something if you don't know what that something is going to be, right? And so now that we have our paragraphs established, then we can transition into them. And so this is all of your pre-writing, right? This took us, 10 minutes? And we have everything done that we need to have done. Low pressure, simple, easy, right? Now we just have to polish it up, right? Now we just have to make it pretty. But even with just this, you're doing a great job, right? So look, let me show you. By the way, really quickly, they must provide you with scratch paper if you ask for it. Ask for scratch paper, right? You can also use your test ticket as scratch paper, but I would just ask for an additional scratch paper and they have to give you paper. If you ask for it, they must give it to you. Do your pre-writing on scratch paper. All right. Now, this is the way the scoring is broken down. They have two categories, basically. They have content and they have, I always forget the word. Doesn't matter. They have content and basically grammar. Conventions. They have content and conventions. All right? Now, content is things like thesis, transitional sentences. It's things like evidence. Right? Your content, the big stuff, things that matter. Conventions is spelling, grammar, punctuation, etc., etc. Right? Now, content is scored from 0 to 3. Conventions is scored from 0 to 2. So what does that tell us? Right away it tells us content is more important than conventions, right? Content is more important than conventions. All right? Now, they score this, they add them together, and you have a possibility of getting a 5, right? And then they do that twice. Right? They do that twice. They get 2 people graded. And so that means that you have a possible score of 10. Right? 10 is the highest score that you can get. Because they do 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. And that's your total score. All right? Now, for conventions, you're basically guaranteed a 1. Unless your spelling, grammar, and punctuation is so bad that it is literally unreadable, they will give you, at minimum, a 1. The only way you'll get a 0 is if they literally cannot read or understand your essay because of how badly your spelling and punctuation is. Right? Now, if you do what I told you, pre-writing, thesis, evidence, you're basically guaranteed a 2. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. If you get that twice, that would equal a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 is a good score. I'm pretty sure the state average is 6 out of 10. But what I'm getting at here is this is where you start. You start at a 6 with the ability to go up, right? Would you take that deal? If I told you, hey, you start at a 6, but you can go higher than that, would you say, yeah, I'll do that? Yeah. Well, this is what you have to do in order for that to be a reality, right? If you do these things, you're basically going to be starting at around the 6, right? With the ability to go up. throw in a transitional sentence, throw in really good evidence, explain something really well, and your score can only go up, right? Does that make sense? So this is a real big advantage of doing this like this, all right? Does that make sense? Okay, now, I want to show you something, okay? So, this is an actual STAAR release question, all right? Now, once again, we can see, explain. Explain is always the number one identifier for the question. Explain how the author of the article and the poet both emphasize how the quality of food had an effect on the Cowboys' morale, right? Okay. We haven't read this. We don't know, blah, blah. But this is just to show you. This is to highlight something. All right. Now, what does it tell you to do? State your thesis. Organize your writing. Well, if you do the pre-writing, you will be organized. Develop your ideas. Use evidence. Those are the things that matter. The last thing that it says is spelling, capitalization, punctuation, and grammar. Right? The last thing. All right. Now, I want you to look at this. This is an actual response with an actual score. This is a 0 to 5 score, not a 0 to 10 score. This is graded one time, right? I want you to look at this. 1 sentence intro, 2 body paragraphs with evidence, 1 sentence conclusion, essentially 1 sentence conclusion, because the last sentence is actually a fragment. Travelers enjoy using the National Road today because they would like to try new food and see some sights. Perfect. Not an amazing thesis, but an effective thesis. Trying new food is always exciting, period. Eating the same food from home could get a bit boring, period. So it's always fun to try new meals, period. Not great. Not terrible, but not great. In this article, the author states, quote, the timeless title, little villages and quiet hamlets and valleys beckon us to small restaurants from a home-cooked meal. They forget to close the quote. Huge mistake. This demonstrates that travelers like to take advantage of using the National Road to try new dishes. 1 explanation. No elaboration. No transitional sentence. Tourists travel the National Road today to see the different scenery it provides. We could all use a change in scenery these days. In this article, the writer says, quote, some people are interested in those topics. Not a great explanation. They like to see historic bridges. This shows that travelers like to visit the National Road to see some sights. It also states, quote, this shows that the National Road is scenic and provides travelers the opportunity to see different scenes. Not bad. In conclusion, not great. There are many reasons why tourists enjoy using the national roads. These are just some of them. Basically a fragment. Okay? Out of a 5. 0 to 5. This got a 4. Second highest grade you can get. Means they would have gotten an 8. Which is a good score. Can we do this? Can we write an essay like this? Yes. Can we do it better? Yes. No transitional sentence. Not a great conclusion. First paragraph is all kinds of mistakes, and they make the cardinal sin of not closing the quote and not giving very good explanations. And they got a 4. Can we do that? At minimum? Yes. Can we do better? Absolutely. All right? So, there should not be any fear when it comes to this essay. I'm going to be like, remember the reading the other day? I'm going to be like Gogol's dad. Compassionate yet stern. You guys are smart. You're amazing. You're going to do incredible things on this test. This essay is something that you can accomplish and do really well in. No fear. All right? Questions?